back to Texas Weather Live. I'm meteorologist Kylie Capps. Joining me today is Aaron Hoot, our local arborist and tree expert. Aaron, we are officially in fall, and oftentimes this time of year, right, we start to notice the trees in our neighborhoods start to turn those beautiful fall colors. But it's interesting because I do feel like over the last several weeks, trees have been slow to change colors, and kind of doing a little bit of research tying in weather when it comes to changes in a tree's leaves. Drought has played a big factor, but I want to talk to you more about the specifics of why trees do turn certain colors.
Most people will just say, oh, it's the time of year the trees turn this color. There's actual processes, very complex things that are going on or stopping or starting that cause the leaves to change colors as different things are being produced, different things are being released, or stuff like that that are causing the leaves to actually change colors. It's really pretty interesting, and it can be affected by weather, just like you just said. That really makes a huge effect on what happens with the color of the leaves.
I want to talk a little bit about those scientific processes, if you can.
Sure.
Now, there are four pigments, and I'm kind of reading through my notes here that help trees turn colors. Can you speak to more about those pigments?
Yeah, so the main one is chlorophyll. That's what is produced through photosynthesis. That's what makes leaves green. Chlorophyll is produced all throughout the year, but towards the end of the year, the production of chlorophyll stops. And so what we see is that green, that's the over controlling color we see fading away, and we see the other colors of the things that happen inside the leaves. Usually the next step is the color yellow, which is produced by carotenoids. Carotenoids produce basically a sunscreen, if you will, for the leaf that protects it from being scorched. It is yellow. It's there year round, but the green is covering it up. So once the green is dissipating, you can see that yellow. And then when that happens, next thing that happens is anthocyanins are produced in the leaves, and that is what produces the red that everybody loves so much. It's a response to sunny days but cool nights versus warm nights that we usually have. So once the temperature drops far enough and we still have sun, how the tree knows to start producing anthocyanins. And then the final stage, the tannins that are in the tree get into the leaves, and that produces the brown that tells us all the show is over and the leaves are getting ready to fall.
What is our peak season here, Aaron, to see those leaves change?
Usually late October and through November. It's one of those things, different parts of the country, different parts of the world. Our weather, having a longer summer, usually makes it take longer for the cool nights to set in and for those colors to change. So, what you would call fall, when it's actually
Yeah.
happening, not calendar fall, would be the time that they should be showing.
But in other parts of the country, that varies. I mean, you can see that fall color kind of take over a little bit earlier across parts of Utah or the north and east, where, I mean, typically they are seeing those longer stretches, right, of the beautiful fall foliage. But this year is different. So that's kind of what I want to focus on now. What are some of the reasons for maybe early fall color or more dull fall color, which I think a lot of folks are experiencing this year?
Well, I mean, it comes down to stress, which the more you talk to me, the more you're going to hear about stress. Any extreme can cause stress in a tree. Too much rain, too much drought, too hot, not hot enough, the insects, diseases. These all put trees under stress, and they may decide to forego certain processes in the interest of preserving the more important ones. A tree may decide not to produce carotenoids and anthocyanins as much if it's stressed out enough to be a little more worried about just dying. Trees have defense mechanisms. They will do things or not do things because they're concerned. Talk to me about acorns if you want to hear about that. Uh, so heavy rain like we had earlier in the year, drought like we followed it up with, these are all stressful things. And so the trees might decide to not do things as vibrantly. It might also decide to do them early.
What about pests or insects? Does that have an impact on kind of maybe early fall color or more dull fall color?
Definitely.
Okay.
There are insects that literally suck sugars out of the leaves of a tree. That can affect the tree's ability to produce what it wants and stay green. So you may actually see the leaf um, decline early because it's being attacked by an insect. There are insects that disrupt the flow of water in the bark and the tissue of the tree up to the canopy. And just like we said, more or less water in the ground, more or less water moving up from the ground could affect the tree's timing of how it's going to show its color.
Now, in early October, drought was at about 40% of nearly all of the U.S. So obviously, that is going to have an impact on kind of maybe not as long of that fall color season. Now, I want to ask you a specific question. As a homeowner, and we love seeing the yellows and the oranges and the reds, what are some of the best types of trees for folks to see that fall color, at least here in Texas?
Not maples.
Okay.
I know maples is what everyone wants, but they don't do well here. So all the stress they would endure from being in this area are going to lead to what we were just talking about them not producing fall color as well. Cedar elms are actually a great native Texas tree that do a very nice change through the yellows, the oranges, and into a little bit of red. Texas redbud, which is a big favorite because we get the pink flowers in early spring on those. They will do a nice shift through the yellows and the oranges. Bald cypress will, in the correct conditions, do a nice shift. A red oak, if it stays healthy, they have some of the same problems as maples, will do a very nice shift. Shumard red oaks, especially, are very valued for their red color. They're kind of a stereotypical northern tree
Okay.
that will show its color. There's a shantung maple is actually a maple that does very well in drought, and it's not a very large tree. It's a popular tree that does a very nice yellow to orange shift. Those are really the number one to go with.
We've talked about a live oak before. What are your thoughts on those for fall color?
You don't get any.
You don't get any. Okay.
They're evergreen. Well, they're not technically evergreen, but they hold their leaves throughout the year, so you're not going to get any yellowing. You'll just get the heavy leaf drop in the late winter when they shift for their old leaves for their new leaves. So they are the most stress enduring and the most bulletproof. You're not going to get any color out of them.
Aaron Hoot, it is always a pleasure to speak with you as our arborist and tree expert. How can folks get in contact with you?
You can go onto davey.com and look up your local office, or you can call us here at the office locally.
Aaron, thank you so much again. And thank you for joining us on this afternoon's edition of Texas Weather Live. Fox 4 News at 4 is coming up next.